Good day. My name is Elsje-Marie. I'm a legal advisor at the Nelspruit SEESA office in protection of personal information and consumer protection.
Good day. My name is Martin Engelbrecht. I'm also from the Nelspruit office, a legal advisor in consumer protection and protection of personal information compliance. Today, we are going to discuss a bit about the Protection of Personal Information Act, or as we know it, the POPI Act, as well as consent forms, which, Elsje, I presume you've received quite a lot of.
Definitely, Martin. I've been receiving a lot of consent forms. My clients have been receiving a lot of consent forms. I've been receiving a lot of inquiries regarding those consent forms since our clients had to be compliant with POPI from the 1st of July. I don't know about you.
Yes, I've definitely received quite a lot of queries and personally a lot of consent forms to fill in myself. And it's interesting because one has to look at what are the grounds for processing personal information in terms of the POPI Act legally. And consent is one of them, but there are a couple of others that we do need to have a look at. The first one is if it's in the performance of a contract or an agreement where you process a person's information. The next one is if it's some or other obligation that a law imposes on you to process that information, such as I'm thinking about SARS and UIF. If there is the processing of that information is in the person's whose information it is, we call it a data subject, if it's in their best interest legitimately. The next one, a lot of our clients really don't fall within that ground for legal processing, but if it's a public body who has some or other public law duty to process information, municipalities and so on. And then the last one, if it's in the legitimate best interest of the business that business processes the personal information of somebody.
Martin, I just wanted to hear from you with regards to the consent forms. I feel like it's information that's already been provided to our clients, or that our clients have already provided to the people requesting this information again now on the consent form. And it just feels unnecessary to me.
Yes, definitely. Obviously, one has to look at the merits of each case to kind of figure out where you stand. But if you fall within one of these justification grounds or grounds for lawful processing of information, and you have given notice, or the person, the data subject, is notified or does carry knowledge that you are processing their personal information, then getting in a consent form now, just because 1 July has been on us and we all need to adhere to the POPI Act now, is going to be a lot of admin. It is doing double work. And it's unnecessary in those circumstances.
So I feel like with the notice that you just mentioned, it's like a privacy notice that can rather be sent instead of the consent form. If you are already processing information in terms of those justifiable legal grounds you just mentioned in terms of Section 11 of the POPI Act, rather to send a privacy notice to your existing client base or people that you share or whose information you process, stating that you are ensuring POPI compliance in your business, the reason for processing that information in terms of the justifiable grounds, and also setting out the rights of those individuals or entities whose information is being processed, being that they can amend the information, they can delete the information, they can object to the processing of information. So to send out a privacy notice instead of the consent form, and to not do that double admin and double processing of information.
Yes, most definitely. If you have already legally, or you are processing a client's personal information in terms of the POPI Act, and you want to rectify the the fact that the data subject doesn't necessarily carry knowledge that you are processing it, or you just want to inform them of them of their rights, then sending a privacy notice, as you've explained, is the proper way to go about it, instead of just sending a consent form to rectify all of that. Just to give a practical example, if you are a business that does deliveries, in my opinion, the least information that you do need is the person to whom you are delivering, their name and surname and cell phone number, and the delivery address. That is in performance of the agreement. So you don't need to get consent in, because it's already a ground for processing of that information. If you do require some other information that's not covered through that, let's say, for instance, a credit score, and it's not like a credit agreement or anything that you're dealing with, but you want to get in that information, you'll have to get consent. If not, then a privacy notice should suffice.
No, that definitely makes sense. Or even processing information to provide clients with marketing content and so on. You didn't collect that information for that purpose. So to just obtain consent in writing in the form of a consent form then. I also feel like for WhatsApp or Facebook groups, is it possible to maybe do something like a privacy notice or disclaimer that you send on those groups for the information that you're processing on those groups? Because I've also been getting a lot of inquiries from clients, should they send those type of notices or messages on those type of groups?
Yes, definitely. A good starting point here is to just state that the POPI Act does not put any obligation on processing of information for personal use. So if it's a family WhatsApp group or a friend WhatsApp group, there's no obligation to adhere to the POPI Act. And I have received messages on groups like that. It's not necessary to send a disclaimer or privacy notice. If it's for business purposes, the medium in which you do process personal information, whether it be an email or a WhatsApp or through Facebook or through a website, is irrelevant for purposes of processing of information in terms of the POPI Act. And if it's for business purposes and you're within the justifiable grounds, as we've mentioned, for processing of information, and then you do have want to, have the data subject notified of the processing of information, or you want to, as you've mention their rights and the obligations and so on, then it is advisable to send a privacy notice through the WhatsApp group or through the Facebook group.
No, I think I definitely agree with you on that. And thank you for also talking to me about the inquiries that you have been receiving. So I know you've also been dealing with a lot of the same type of things regarding consent. I do, however, think that that is the time that we have to talk about this today. And if you have any other inquiries, to contact a legal advisor from SEESA so that we can assist you in this regard.
Yes, thank you for your time, Elsje.
Thank you, Martin.